Hi there. My name is Cindy Davis. I'm the content director for AV Technology. And with me is John Maier, the newly appointed CEO of the newly independent Bose Professional. Thanks for joining me, John.
Thanks for having me.
So, absolutely huge news. Uh, Bose Professional is now its own entity, and you're the newly appointed CEO. And we're just dying to find out what kind of changes are ahead for the company overall, and how, what your plans are for driving Bose Professional.
Yeah, it is huge news, and being in the industry for so long, I've been a huge Bose fan from the early days of, my dad bringing home a little bookshelf speaker for the living room, to me using 802s and 402s, with bands and rental and stuff in the 80s, all the way to what the business does now. And so to have Bose Corporation separate with something that was basically part of the business almost from the beginning. I mean, Bose Professional is 50 years now as a company. And in fact, we're going to make some noise about that later this year. So yeah, it's one of those once in a lifetime opportunities. And so when I was helping Transom with their companies, we jumped at the chance and dove in, and we're excited to be the last company that was offered exclusivity and able to close the deal. So that is the big news. And then we can talk a little bit more about my role and the plans, but I'd say the biggest change is going to be, instead of being part of sort of an overall Bose consumer strategy, to be able to be an independent, standalone pro AV business and focus 100% on that business and the customer and the solutions for that customer. That's just absolutely huge, because you're sort of beholden, and no ill will towards Bose corporate, because Bose has its own priorities, and as it should. It's a big business handling the consumer and aviation and automotive. But this was a smaller part of their business, and it kind of would flow in and out of strategies, and I don't think necessarily had the focus or the attention that it really needed to flourish. And even in that setting, the business has been growing and has a really strong global business. So yeah, I'm excited to be able to really focus in and hone in on that customer, and Transom's been 100% supportive about going after, where the business comes from. It's kind of that the middle market of AV installation and commercial.
Nice. Really interesting to hear. So what do you see, kind of just in the next 6 months, if you would, however much you can divulge, what do you see as the biggest changes that integrators and users can expect?
Well, I think the good news is they won't see a lot of change in the day-to-day. We're under a transition services agreement with Bose Corporate, so the flow of business, how they place orders, how things get shipped through the system, nothing changes on day one. And that was an important part of this, was to make sure there was no interruption, no disruption to the business. I think what they'll see on the other side of that is this renewed focus. So I'm already kicking off a bit of a listening tour, both for our internal team to learn about what our strengths are, what our weaknesses are, but maybe as importantly, or more importantly, our customers, our end users, consultants, just understanding what's really working for Bose Professional out there now, and where we've got room to grow and get better, and also where the opportunities are. We're spending a lot of time on the product roadmap. There's some exciting things already coming this year. There'll be some announcements at Infocom, and some longer term, some more structural upgrades and updates coming down the road. But we also want to take the opportunity to really look at the offering across these solutions, right? What is the education market, the house of worship market, the hospitality market? what are we offering that's really working, and where are there opportunities that we could expand our our portfolio and offer more complete systems. We've gotten into the conferencing space with VB1 and VBS, which have been received really well, really interesting technologically, and we think there's an opportunity to also offer a fuller line of solutions around it. So we're looking at that as well.
Mhm. So within those three vertical markets that you just mentioned currently, where are those as far as your market share?
Yeah, I would say it's kind of different by region. We have really strong position in the hospitality part of that business, and some of the institutional. That's probably our strength in the Americas, and really worldwide. But we also have found really strong results in Europe and Asia in slightly bigger venues, things like Royal Ascot, some soccer stadiums for the World Cup in Qatar. So it's really been a bit of a mix. But I think where we sort of come from and what we're known for is, starting with those business systems and having that really expand out into the larger campus of, say, a church campus, a house of worship, an educational campus of some sort, hospitality campus. So that's really the strength. We're not, we don't have a lot of, really big live performance presence. We do some of that, obviously. And of course, conferencing is new for us. So that's just kind of a fledgling part of the business right now.
In of those businesses, is there an area that you see that you'll have that you're looking for the greatest growth, or altogether?
Yeah, I think it's doubling down on that middle market. We have, again, a really strong position, but we don't want to lose focus on that. And because there's a lot of great products out there and there's a lot of competition, a lot of friends of mine are my competitors now.
Sure.
So I have to, really think about, just making sure we don't lose the core. And so that's kind of one of our big focus. So I think, we're seeing, again, growth there, but we'll double down there and make sure that that's a foothold that we don't lose. So I think we'll see double-digit growth in that space. For sure, double-digit and potentially triple-digit growth in conferencing, because again, it's new for us. And I think that's kind of the focus. There's some interesting areas, we're hearing a lot about immersive audio and lots of other things that we're, obviously an engineering-based company with a lot of interesting innovations. So we're looking at those things as to, what possibly could be done down the road, potential partnerships with other brands, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have Bose Professional has partnered with other brands in the past. So any that you see that you'll be continuing?
Yeah, I know that still a lot to learn from me, but I know that we've partnered and continue to partner with Sennheiser, and there's a few others that we've done work with, and we're talking with more. So yeah, I think that will definitely be a part of the strategy going forward. I'm a strong believer in you really focusing on your strengths and being the experts in the areas that the brand has the permission to be and the brand equity to be, and focusing with partners on the things that they're the experts at, and it would take you decades to get to where they've gotten, and so we can kind of work together.
I've actually noticed really in the past few years, and especially since the pandemic, a lot of companies partnering with each other for exactly the reason you said. And why not do that? Why not join together and build something that's can get to market quicker and be the best of all the worlds.
Yeah, I think there can, early on in a company's life, there can be an attachment, and rightly so, a pride in an ownership of the product, and do you really want to lend that brand to another brand? But I think as you work through that and you realize, you see other people having success with those kinds of relationships, I think more and more brands are open to that idea, and I think you're absolutely right. It works quite well when it's the good fit of those two kinds of
Mhm, mhm.
partners.
All right, so are you not going to tip your hat a little bit about what we can see at Infocom? Come on.
No, I think it's definitely it fits into the space of availability. Everything when we started calling customers to understand the business, um, the thing we heard over and over again, of course, because it was kind of the end of COVID, was if there's a top 5 feature of a product, number one right now is availability.
Absolutely.
If someone doesn't have it, I got to move on because I can't wait, and I got to get product. And so we made some moves there, and have some really interesting products coming that both um, expand our offering and the technology and the flexibility, but also are in an area where we've had availability issues. So excited to show that. And then there's a a product coming on the portable side where we'll be the exclusive distributor for Bose Portable. So they'll still handle the consumer channels and some of the MI channels, but we'll be the exclusive distributor. So say if we do a big installation at a church or something and they want a portable system, we can provide that. So that doesn't change. And there's a really interesting product that we'll be able to show at Infocom for that. So that's all I'm giving you.
Okay, well, almost enough, but not quite. Can't wait. But it's just a few weeks away. So are you saying that what you'll be showing will be available?
Yep, absolutely.
Great. That's nice to hear. So what else can you share about the direction and what people can expect?
Yeah, I think internally we're excited to separate out and build kind of a Bose Professional's own culture. It's always been, I've always made this analogy that it's, in my mind, always been a bit of a pirate ship to the greater Bose. And in that way, kind of already had its own culture and its own sort of approach. So that's great that we can take that and move that over. But of course, we've got to build up whole functional areas of the business. And so we're doing a lot of that now. We're building the team. We've just added a CFO and a head of people and culture, and promoted from within some folks to some really key positions. So there's a lot of getting prepped for pulling out of the sort of functional structural support that we're getting from Bose Corporation right now. And so we're really focused on that, mostly because we just want it to be very smooth for the customers and the end users and the integrators. So, but as far as the market, that's kind of the discovery mode that we're in right now. We want to continue some of the work that the team's doing on some bigger sort of overall projects that are coming down the road. But we really want to spend some time digging into what I've told the team is that I'm the new guy only once, and that's a perspective I want to take advantage of. And so that's why I want to do this listening tour and really dig in and get both the good feedback and the bad feedback, and then take that back to the team and start to process that and see where we can take it. So I think what you'll see in the first 6 months is consistency and more of the same, lack of disruption, but you'll also see a responsiveness to the market and the channel and what is going on out there and what is needed from us. Things that we can move fast on, we'll move fast on. Things that are obviously more product development cycle longer, we'll also move fast on, but you guys won't see that until a little bit further down the road. So yeah, I'm excited to really kind of dig in and learn and come back and be the dumb new guy and say, here's what we should be doing, and start to process that internally. And
It's definitely an interesting position to be in, because not knowing some things really kind of opens your eyes sometimes to how things are being done. So how about manufacturing? Is that going to change at all where you manufacture?
Absolutely no changes initially. So it's really, again, it's all about consistency. the supply chain was pretty separate. There's only I think there's only one factory, one Bose factory, and maybe one partner factory where there's a combination of both consumer products and pro products made. So that actually makes that part of the carve out more simple. Still, some heavy lifting in getting that transferred over, but we don't have to, full product lines and manufacturing lines out of, say, a Bose factory and move it to a third party factory or create our own factory, because all that separation was kind of already built in.
Mhm.
So, and obviously we'll work with our vendor partners on the availability stuff. We've had a lot of improvement. In fact, we're kind of down to really one or two areas that we're still pushing, and we think we'll have full recovery by the fall. But yeah, the generally the supply chain setup doesn't really change much. It's more like handing off contracts and us signing on with that partnership.
Mhm.
And then of course we'll dig in and we'll find out where there's opportunities to get more efficient, potentially, better results, faster shipping, cheaper shipping, that kind of stuff. So we're going to look for all those efficiencies when we can as we shift over.
Sure. Nice. So you say you've been in the music industry for quite a long time. In fact, you're a musician,
Yep.
right? And what instrument or instruments do you play?
Drums is the main thing. I dabble in a bunch of other stuff, but drums is the thing that I was, as a kid was going to be a rock star, and met my wife through music, and here we are, 27 years later, in LA, and we still play and still enjoy music, but it's more of a fun side thing at this point.
Well, that's great. Well, that's a lot of what our industry is made up of is musicians that wanted to be the rock stars, and you're rock stars now in your own right.
Yeah, right.
Great, you're both.
Exactly.
Both professional. That's really great. So I really appreciate this interview, and look forward to seeing what you've got in store for us at Infocom and later. And I hope to meet you there.
That sounds great. Thanks for having me. Really, really fun to chat, and can't wait to dig in and get going.
Absolutely.